Have I got some great invasions for you today? I don't know why I talk like that and act like that's how YouTubers talk. It's just not realistic, you know? No one talks like that, really. But it's funny that that's the YouTuber voice to me. Yeah, I guess there is like a genre of YouTuber who talks like that. But they're like the genre of YouTuber who gets like millions of views per video, you know? Have you heard the great secret of the new overpowered build of Elden Ring? The secret to knowing where you are in the level. Well, have you? Have you heard the secret of this? A lot of times people invade, and when you invade, you're like, oh, I'm the best PvPer in the room. And that might be true. You might be the best PvPer in the room when you invade. But are you good enough, buy enough, to overcome 3 people who can't hit each other, who can all do legitimate damage to you? Because that becomes the equation that you have to work out. And a lot of times, maybe, I err on the side of caution. And I'm like, I know I'm the best in this room right now, but I don't know that I'm the best by enough that it's going to matter. And the sort of delineating factor here is the people who are okay with that and the people who aren't. And it's fine to be either. It's just a preference in a video game. It's no big deal. However, I prefer this. I prefer these random co-opers and these baby gankers sort of have the ability to beat me. It makes this more exciting. It makes this more fun for me. There are times when I get frustrated or whatever, and I think to myself like, ooh, I cannot believe the game rewarded them for playing that poorly after I played so well. But when the heat of the moment is over, I revert back to the more natural state of it's good that random co-opers can kill you even if you're better than them. Because then it turns into, can you trick your opponents into thinking that they might be better than you? Do you know the game better than they do? And that becomes a big factor as well. It's not just a matter of I'm the best PvPer in the room. It's also now like I know more about this game than these 3 people. And that is the sort of that's the sort of bet that I will take, right? Like I always feel like I could win any invasion. Like there are people who are better than me for sure, but I always feel like I have a chance, and that I could win pretty much any invasion that I get into. It's just that sometimes it's not up to who's the most skilled player. Sometimes it's up to who has the most friends and who is taking advantage of what opportunities they have. Okay. So now that I've explained all of that, I hope, the level is, and I touched on this briefly in a video that I made very recently, but the level is such a big deal. The level is like, this is the sort of thing that like, who do you think is more dangerous? Like, I would rather fight as an invader. I would rather fight I would rather fight like Rivers of Blood, Blasphemous Blade, yada yada. I would rather fight all that stuff, Moonveil. I would rather fight that than fight a person using dual pikes, right? But if I were a host, would I rather fight a guy who uses dual pikes but doesn't know anything other than dual pikes? That's all he knows. And he could have like god tier reaction rolls, etc., etc. You know, spacing. He could have all that. I would rather fight him than one dude with a sword and a shield who knows absolutely everything about where everything is at all the time, right? And that's the sort of, I don't know, like, I don't care to learn all that and shove it all in my head. And I don't know every inch of Elden Ring's map. I still get hung up on random trees. I still get hung up on random rocks. I still get hung up on random whatever out in the level all the time. But I generally always have some idea of where something is at that is close by that can help me out. And that is what makes me probably more success, that and an insane amount of time learning all this, right? I would be disingenuous to not mention the fact that I have all the time in the damn world to learn all this stuff. But that's like the deciding factor for me, and probably what separates me and people like me from other invaders, is the fact that we know all this stuff. I know that there's a group of enemies up here. I know there's a group of enemies a little further up. I know that they'll blow their horn, and when they blow their horn, they'll all aggro at once. And this guy is going to have to answer to the crime of throwing fireballs over and over and over again at that point. I know that. They don't know that. Maybe they know it, but they're not thinking about that right now, because they're thinking about killing the invader by pressing the same buttons over and over and over and over and over again, and never trying anything new or different at all. But to be fair, a lot of the times they don't have to. This invasion right here, look at it. Look at the behavior of my opponents, okay? And go back and watch that first invasion in the video. There's a moment where I run up on the three of them and I don't just run into them. And they just sort of stop moving for a minute. And you might, in your head, play things like they're, in the moment happening faster than they actually are. You would see them do that. You would see them stop for a moment, and you might say to yourself, oh, they're not going to like follow me somewhere. They're not going to do any of this stuff. But as you saw, they did follow me. There was just a moment, just a brief moment, where they all just kind of like, what is happening? Because I didn't just walk into all three of them. Dual spears is great. 1v1, all these OP builds and stuff that you see people run in the arena, or you see people run as like Crab Shack duelists or whatever, a lot of these builds, they're great 1 versus 1, but they are ass 3 versus 1. They do not afford you the sort of wide range of options something like a great sword or a straight sword or a spear with like a sweep can offer you, like the partisan or the death ritual spear, curved swords, like these weapons that they have a bigger move set that covers more ground and different attacks. They can do different things besides just poke straight in front of them. Something that can poke straight in front of you is absolutely brutal 1-on-1, but 2-on-1, it can kind of suffer, which is why I was saying I would rather fight. If I was a host and I had friends, I would rather fight a dual spear guy than a guy with a sword and a shield who knows everything about the level that we're currently in, right? The dual spear guy, he can poke one of us, but he can't poke all three of us at the same time. The straight sword guy can hit all three of us at the same time, and can then cover his roll with a dodge. And he knows the level. Like, that's the bad thing, right? That's the worst of the two, in my opinion. Okay. So, what I'm getting at here is, like, when you make a build, right now I'm playing meta level invasions, right? And so meta level invasions are sort of like the assorted bag of candy. You reach in and you just grab something. You're not sure what it's going to be. There's no typical area for meta level invasions. as opposed to being like level 60 or 70 or, you know, whatever, 30, 40, whatever. When you're those levels, you're saying to yourself, okay, well, here's where I'm mostly going to invade. And you know, that's still partially true for meta level. You're going to invade Elphael a lot. You're going to invade Castle Sol a lot. You're going to invade the Snowfield a lot. Those dungeons in the Snowfield, those dungeons in the mountaintops, you know, Farum Azula. But you might end up in the Weeping Peninsula at meta level, which is what's happened here. And so it's just sort of like that random assortment where, like, I know there's supposed to be demi-human queen in that room. Obviously, she's not there. But as I'm walking around, I see that there's demi-humans in front of me. So I can, like, take them here. I can use that tree to stop the Stars of Ruin. And this is one of those things where, like, I'm eating more Stars of Ruin than I would like to. But it's smarter to eat some Stars of Ruin. It's smarter to eat that. And keep my eyes in front of me so that I don't run into a wall. This is just a perfect illustration of the two different types of, you know, what to do and what not to do right there. It's easy, man. It's easy to get stuck on some wall. So, like, if you get stuck on a wall or a tree or whatever after you watch this video and you're like, oh, I'm so dumb. Like, no, you're not. You're fine. It's impossible to learn where all this stuff is at. It's just making good habits. If you don't know an area a lot, sometimes it's better to keep your eye in front of you and just eat the damage that's happening on your ass. It's just better, you know? That damage might kill you, but, like, if you run into a wall, you're gonna die anyway, you know? So, you know, at least you can mitigate the running into a wall thing. This is something else that I talk about. Sometimes you just have to turn around and hit people, you know? You start to panic, and all you're thinking about is dodging on reaction, healing when you have a chance. Maybe you double sip your flask. That's always a terrible idea. You're just almost always better off throwing out an attack. Because if you throw out an attack and you hit somebody, then that's one less person who's on you for a second. And if it buys you, if you turn around and you hit them, and it buys you a minute, and they all three characters aren't chasing you anymore, now you have a chance to actually get a meaningful heal off, right? But yeah, the idea here is, like, you want to be familiar enough with the level that you're playing in, but also if you're not familiar with it, you know, you're keeping your eyes in front of you. Keep the level to your back, but keep your eyes up ahead. That way, you know, you're not running into a wall or a statue or a rock. And then the payoff is stuff like this, right? I know what this dungeon does. I know how to operate the thing. I know where they have to go. I know what they haven't done yet, right? And so as a result, I get, you know, this Pillar of Salt invasion. If I were these dudes, I would be frustrated at this invader. I'm not gonna lie. But, you know, I'm not, like, griefing these people. It's frustrating, for sure, but, like, it's not unfair. There's three of them, you know. They have an advantage that I can't hope to overcome if I don't use this pillar and stuff like this. And so, like, sometimes you have to play mean. And so I'm playing mean because there's three of them. You know, if there's three of you and one invader, there's nothing you can do that's not mean, right? It's not your fault, you know, unless you're ganking, unless you're purposefully asking to get invaded, which, you know, a lot of these people are. But you know, if you're just honestly co-oping and you've got some friends, like, there's no not being mean to the invader. And I would like to point out that I prefer that. I prefer that, you know, I don't like it when co-opers try and take it easy on me. I don't like that. It's like being a shark in captivity. Like, you know how they can't keep great white sharks in captivity because they just don't act right? It's like that when co-opers try and like take it easy on me. It's like, don't take it easy on me. I'm not gonna get the same thrill that I get out of, you know, people not taking it easy on me. Like, go absolutely apeshit. Try and kill me to the best of your ability. That way, if I win, I feel good, you know. But yeah, this area right here, I included this invasion because one, it's hilarious, and two, like, there's typically a dragon right here. I don't mess with this dragon. If that dragon comes down, I'll just let them kill it. I might sit up here and shoot a jar cannon at you, but I'm not getting involved in that dragon's, because now it's not just a 3v1 or a 2v1. Now it's a 2v1 or a 3v1, and I have to deal with this dragon just constantly doing stuff. So L2. Now, to be fair, he did do the L2 R1, which is it can true combo on that. So, you know, he knows that. But after this, it is just, you know, L2, 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 L2. And it's hilarious how they expect that. I am literally, at this point in the invasion, like when this was happening, I remember like how blown away I was with how shameless this player was. Like, they just did not care. There's no way you don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're just making a terrible mistake. But, you know, whatever. Let them make it, I guess. To be fair, it's working right now. But it's about to stop working. And L2. Yeah, you need one as well. Everybody get in here. Let's all press L2 together. I am so glad that they made backstabs better. Just because backstabs can punish things that needed to be punishable. Ashes of War are now punishable with backstabs. It's easier to punish bad rolls with backstabs. Jump attacks. You can punish jump attacks, not as good as you should be able to, but better than before. You can punish a jump attack with a backstab. But look at this, it's hilarious, it just never stops. L2, 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 L2. And I know that's a joke, right? But like, it's a joke, you know? Every good joke contains true shit, I believe the man said. But yeah, that was just hilarious to me. This is another invasion where I know something that they don't know. Maybe they know it, but they're not thinking about it. And this is, you have to remember that you're the invader, right? When you start doing invasions, you will feel like a little knot in your stomach when you start doing invasions. If you're anything like me, it feels like you're doing something forbidden. And I loved that. But after a while, you have to start remembering that, you know, you're the invader. The thing that you have going for you is the fact that you're prepared, right? And so, you know, it's fun to have the butterflies in your stomach, but also, you know, be prepared. These people probably knew that the floor fell, but they weren't thinking about it because there was an invader here. And this is a thing that, like, a lot of times I get comments on YouTube videos where people are like, you always fight easier people than I fight. And, you know, I've said this for years now. It's like, there's not these invasions you're watching, none of these happened while I was streaming. I literally just sat down and played the game for like 4 or 5 hours. And I got all these invasions. And, you know, it's a lot of it is like, a lot of times you will see players using good weapons like the Shamshir. You might see somebody using Vikes or Moonveil or whatever. And when you see somebody using it, even stuff like, you know, dual pikes or dual coated swords, you know, you'll see somebody using a really good setup. And so you immediately give them the benefit of the doubt and think like, oh, this person knows what's going on. This person knows their shit. They don't. They don't know their shit. They're just some guy who saw a YouTube video. That's it. Or they're just some guy who has a friend who saw a YouTube video. They don't know anything. Make them prove to you that they are as good as the stuff they're using, right? A bad player with dual pikes is much easier to beat than a good player with dual pikes. That goes without saying. But a lot of the time, when I watch other people invade on streams, they'll see someone using good stuff, and they just immediately give this player the benefit of the doubt. And they're like, oh, look at this guy. He's using the meta. He knows blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, he knows, but like, is he any good? Can you press heavy attack? Hit stun him? Is he going to press L1 out of hit stun? Is he brain dead? Probably. He's probably brain dead. Not everybody is, but most of them are, because just mathematically speaking, it's more likely that they're bad than it is they're good, you know? And yeah, it's just one of those things. Okay, so I rambled a little bit. I wanted to point this out. The Phantom Bloody Finger. Once they get past the gate there, if I'm on the collapsible floor and I use the Phantom Bloody Finger and they're past the gate, the game will spawn me in this right here. Either next to the Revenant, next to the Duelist, or on the bridge in between. That's the Phantom Bloody Finger spawn point. And knowing that absolutely changes, you know, how you will approach, because wouldn't it be dumb to give up the high ground and jump down into a pit with 3 players? Wouldn't that be dumb to give up the only advantage that you have at the moment, which is you can put hands on them but they can't touch you? Yeah, it would be stupid, so don't do it. But the Phantom Bloody Finger will put you somewhere where you can maintain that advantage. Right? Simple stuff, but like, you know, sometimes you need to hear it. Sometimes somebody has to say it before it like clicks. Ladders. Ladders are checkmate, man. Like, if you're an invader and you can stop their progress by standing on a ladder, like, that's checkmate. Watch this. This is just shenanigans from start to finish. I really wish I had recorded more of this invasion. I unfortunately cut off the first bit of it. The first bit of it, we were standing across from the chasm that's right outside this room, and they were throwing lightning bolts, and I was shooting a jar cannon. And then they did a dragon rot breath, and they did some kind of poison thing. I forget what it was, but they poisoned me. And maybe he's got poison on those claws or something like that. And I fell down the chasm where the Alabaster Lord guy hangs out. And I was like, okay. So I use a bolus to get rid of the poison. I heal. I use the Phantom Bloody Finger. It puts me on top of the ladder. And now it's checkmate, man. Like, I can be as mean or as nice as I choose to be in this situation. And I knew I was recording footage for a video, and so, you know, similar to with that pillar that I had earlier, I was like, I'm going to be a little mean. So I'm a little mean. I'm sitting here after and I'm editing the video and I'm thinking to myself, I might have oversold the ladder a little bit. It's not necessarily checkmate. Like, they obviously will have a chance and a way to get up here. It's just a matter of waiting until, like, you can do it, you know, a couple different ways. You can come up one at a time and one of you stay exactly where you need to stay, and, you know, the other one try and force their way up, or you can wait until I run out of pots, and then, you know, whatever. There's ways to get around this. There's also abilities and spells that they could be using right now that would also dramatically change the outcome of them trying to get up a ladder. But when you are on top of a ladder and your opponent is not on top of the ladder, that dramatically changes the shape of the invasion. And it allows me to do this type of thing where I can have, you know, a fight one-on-one with one person, scare them off of the platform, and now they have to split up. The greatest advantage they had, which was the fact that they had, you know, more people than me, it's gone. They don't have that anymore, and that's all thanks to the ladder. So we use the ladder, we use our Ash of War to sort of you know, maintain some sort of advantage, right? And that's, you know, just common sense stuff. But like I said, you know, sometimes you gotta hear it for it to click, and hopefully it clicked. Thanks for watching this video. I'm glad you clicked on it. And that's the end of YouTube. Forever. It's over. Go home. No, I'll be back real soon. Until then, later, y'all.